In the following video, we will see how to create a one-click Apollo scraper so that you do a research within Apollo and within one click, you have a full list already created for you. We will see the concepts, the tools that we need to use, and the full setup. Let's get started. Here's the overall concept of what we are building today. So the goal is to build an one-click Apollo scraper. If you don't know what Apollo is, basically Apollo is a list building software. So Apollo allows us to build different lists based on specific criteria that we want to. So if, for example, we want to find agency owners with their email and their LinkedIn profile, their first name and last name, we can use Apollo directly for that. The goal of this is to make everything as simple as possible so that we can do it in one click, and we will use two specific tools for that. We will use N8N and then we will use Apify. The idea would be the following: would be to get a lead list from Apollo. So we will perform the search within Apollo. We will add the URL of the list directly to a form, so a form created with N8N, and then the N8N flow will scrape that list and then email the finalized list directly to us. So let's get started building this flow. So we are waiting N8N right now, and we can get started with the creation of the flow. So ideally, we would have two different flows. We would have one flow to start the automation and another flow when the automation is finished. So first off, we have this part related to form submission. We can call it list building, and in the form description, please add the Apollo link to start the list building process. The form elements, I would put two of them. So one would be the list URL. Over here, we can keep a text. And this would be required. And then another one would be an email. So let's put this as an email. Example at example.com. Both of them will be required. The email will be used to send the data. Meanwhile, the list will be used for the flow. So let's run a test for this part, and let me execute this. List URL. Right now, we'll put a random URL just to start with, and then we will put another one afterwards. So okay. Okay, now we have all the input and form submission directly over here. Great. So first thing we need to do is we need to start the flow, and we need to start collecting the lead list. So what we will use for this is we will use Apify. If you go within Apify and sign up and do everything. So let me sign up right now. Within Apify, there's this specific scraper. So if you don't know how Apify works, basically what you have over here is you have a store, and within the store you can find different possible scrapers that you can use. There are different kinds of scraper. There are some that requires a rental, so you need to rent them for a monthly fee, and there are a couple of them which are pay per use, such as the Apollo scraper, for example. So for the Apollo scraper over here, you spend $1.20 for 1,000 leads. So this is very cost efficient in general. The way it works over here is you add a search URL. So this will be the search URL of the Apollo people search. Over here, you can add the number of records required, and then over here, you can add the file names. And potentially, you can also clean the output to have a better output. Also, keep in mind that this works for the paid plan. The users on the free plan can only get 1,100 leads per run. So make sure to have the premium Apollo, which gives you 39 bucks of credits. So like you can use quite a bunch of them with that plan. So as you can see over here, there's the search URL that we can use. So there are different ways of using Apify. We can use it either directly on the interface, like so. So if we were to go to Apollo right now and start creating a list, so let me do a test right now and create a list of, um, let's do CEO, founder, owner. Let's do something simple and let's take a Italian region. So let's take Veneto. In this way, we will have a lot less people. Over here, you can select for the email status. You can make it so this is verified, and then let's put range of employees. So let's put 11 to 50 employees, as well as specific industries such as marketing and advertising, for example. This gives a list of 91 people. Generally, depending on where you find the list, you can have way bigger list, but for simplicity's sake, I will take this um, smaller one. So what we need to do over here is basically copy this URL over here, and then we can paste this URL over here and save and start. So in this way, we will start the actor that we will get all the different information that we want to from Apify. So right now we did this process in a manual way, and in a second we will see how to do that in the automated way through N8N. As you can see over here, we finished the scraping and we got 109 people, emails, and results that we can use. So this will be the full list of people that we have available, and we will have different things such as first name, last name, email, LinkedIn profile, as well as other information. And over here you can see the prices. So for 13 cents we have 109 results. Let's see how to use this directly within N8N. First off, what we will need to do is we will need to use the API of Apify. So let's search for API reference of Apify. And over here, we will have that. Um, Ideally, the one that we will need to use will be this run actor over here. So in this way, we can let the actor run with all the different information. And the only thing that we will need over here will be the actor ID. So the ID will be this part of the URL over here in the path. And we can make it run like so. So let's take let's take the URL that I used before as a reference over here. So let's add this over here, and let's modify this over here so that we have a working URL that we can use. Okay, great. So right now within N8N, what we will use is we will use an HTTP request, and for the HTTP request, we will use the following one. What we can do is we can copy this if we want to, and then add this directly within N8N. Okay, great. Only thing would be to get the ID. So let's get this and add this over here. Okay, we will not need the header. Instead, we will use the authentication. Um, Over here, I already have the authentication of the Apify within, I think was a header of probably. Okay, so this is Apify. Anyway, you can find everything if you go into settings, API and integrations, and over here you will find your own API key directly. So Uplifted Consulting, and over here what we can do is we can select the what will be present over here. So we will essentially select the JSON file over here. So here it is. Over here, let's put it input JSON. Let's change this URL over here and add the list URL in this part over here. So in this way, we make the URL dynamic. So this will be run Apify actor. This is not needed. Okay, so this is all good. Over here we have everything, and we can test this out. And as you can see, this outputted positively, so this started working. And what we can see directly within Apify, if we wanted to, is that this started running. So this is how we see this works. So right now I will stop this for a second, and then we will check the next step. Okay, we finished the first part over here. So this was really simple. Now let's do the second part, which is the part related to when the list is finished scraping from Apify. Let's email that directly to someone. So let me open a new workflow over here within N8N. In order to do that, what we will need to do is we'll need to go back to Apify over here, go to console, select the scraper itself, and then within the scraper, there's one functionality which is called integrations. Sorry, this is not the right scraper. Let me get the right one. So over here, there's one integration that we can use. Integration basically are ways of connecting the actor that you're using to other different things. So there are a lot of different things that you can do with integrations. The easier way we will use this is using this HTTP webbook. So basically, what will happen right now is that as soon as the scraper's finished, we will send a webbook to signal that this actually finished scraping. So this will run when the run is succeeded. So demo run succeeded. Okay. Over here we can add a URL. So let me add the URL directly over here. We will use the test one to start with, but we will change them later. Payload template works, so we don't need to change anything over here. And then what we can do right now is we can save and test. So let me start listening and change this method to post. So here it is, save and test. Okay, we tested that. As you can see, everything was working. And so this works. So what will happen right now is that every time we finish a workflow, this will trigger. Okay, so we finished this first step of setting up the webbook. Now comes the fun part, which is getting the data out and adding the data to a Google Sheet. So let me check on the API documents over here for storage. I think this is the part related to that. Let me check. I think yes. So get items. So this will be probably the API that we need to use. And let's add this over here. This will be dataset ID. probably the dataset ID will be present in this event data. Right now, we will use a test dataset ID. So let me take this as an example over here. And if you want to find the dataset ID, you can go to storage. You can take this. So let me add that over here. Okay. Let's add the Apify. And let's see if we need something additional over here. Probably format. And we can use either CSV or JSON as a format. Yeah, let's use CSV over here in query parameter format and add CSV. So this will be Apify get items. Okay. It seems to get everything over here in one single item, so that's good. If we change it to CSV, what we will get is we will get all the different items directly over here. So just so you know. So we got 109 items from here. Now we need to transform this in a format that could be added to Google Sheets. So there are two ways of doing that. One way would be to split in batches. So basically, in this way, instead of having 109 items at a time, we split in batches that we decide. So like this could be 5, 10, or whatever. And then what we can do over here is we can create a Google Sheets over here. We can append the row to the sheet, deciding the document and the sheet, and then add a wait trigger in this part over here to wait a certain amount. This is done because there's a limit to the number of rows that we can insert, and that limit is 60 rows per minute. And so this would be an approach. Um, so like the wait is needed because we need this wait time. So if you use this kind of system, which would require you to add create a spreadsheet over here. So you will need to create a spreadsheet over here first, get the items, and then loop over the items. The problem of doing this method is that you are limited to adding 60 60 rows per minute for that. So this works if we have 109 items, but if we have 10,000 items, this is definitely not the approach that we want to take. So instead, it would be better to take a different approach. The approach that I choose, it's a little bit more complicated. Basically, what we need to do is we need to use the code block to transform all the items that we have over here into a format that works for Google Sheets and for the Google Sheets batch update. So what I will do right now is I will go into Claude, and over here I will try to do some prompt engineering to come up with the code for this block over here. So help me create an N8N code block to transform the output from an Apify get items into a format that works for the batch update of Google Sheets. What I'm trying to do is get list of items from Apify and transform them in a format that I could add in a Google Sheets batch update API. So the API of Google Sheets would be the following over here. So this would be the batch update. And over here, the format that we will need to use is this data. So let me see if this is open. So the format would be the following. Over here, we have range, we have major dimension, and then we have values. The values would actually be the different elements that we will need to add over here. So yeah, let me take this. Please check the Google Sheets API documentation in order to create this in the most correct way possible. I also need the first row to be the header row. Okay. So. Yeah, I think that's it. I think also it would be helpful to give this as a context. Even though it's not the total one. Um, yeah, maybe didn't copy the actual code. Let me run this back again. This is an Apify. Make sure that what is in an array is transformed. Okay, here we go. So AI created everything. Now let's do the best actions that we can do. So like let's copy paste and see if everything works as intended over here. And let's hope for the best. So yeah, it seems that over here it adds all the different elements. Okay, so the first values, as you can see in this part over here, would be the header. And then if we go back over here, all the other values are the elements of the person, the name, the full name, the LinkedIn profile, bunch of additional information, and so on. So it seems that this is actually working fine. I think probably if we were to do this a little bit better, it would be helpful to remove a couple of these different elements. But let's keep it for the optimization part if actually needed. So over here we have the code that will need to be added into the Google Sheets API. So next step over here would be to create the lead list. So the lead list would be the Google Sheets over here. So let's create this. Let's call lead list to start with. And the thing that I have to see over here is whether it's possible to send this information that we have over here, such as the email. And I wanted to add also a list you name. If it's possible to send this directly to Apify and then from Apify to send those um, elsewhere. But let me do this first so that we can see that. So over here we will define sheet. Over here, this will be sheet 1. Okay, so yeah, I think there's nothing else that is needed over here. Let's create this. Okay, once this is created, what we need to use is we will need to do the batch append In order to do this, we will need to use the following URL over here. So let's take this one. Spreadsheet ID will be the one that we have over here. So this will be the spreadsheet ID. Here we will have a post, and so this would be batch update sheets. Okay, and the body itself that we have over here would probably be the full code block. So we can either do this in the following way. Let's see. So this will be, yeah, value input option would be this one over here. Then we will have data, which will be the full data block that we have over here. And then include values in response. Let's put false, and then response value render option. This will be value render option. This will be formatted value, and I think this one is not needed. So let's test this out. Let's see if this works correctly. Oh, sorry, the authorization. So let's add the authorization over here. Predefined Google Sheets API. Okay. And let's execute and see if everything is working fine. Okay, so, okay, that's something to change over here. Values. Okay, let's run this again. Okay, so it seems to be working. Let's have a look at the Google Sheets. And over here we have a lead list. And as you can see, over here we have the full complete lead list with all the different information. So city, country, email. And I think over here we will also have like first name, last name, and so on. I think the other additional steps that could be added in this instance would be to clean up the list, but let's leave it for another time over here. So next thing, the last thing that we will need to do is we will need to we will need to send this to an email. So I think it would be helpful to check within Apify if we can send over information. So we could get a sense of whether this is actually possible. Otherwise, we will find a different ways of doing that. So within Apify over here, we can run the actor, and the thing that I was thinking about over here is we can add the information within the body if we really wanted to, because I think this information will not be used anyway, but we can still access this information. So if, for example, over here within the body, we do something like the following, and we do email, and we add the email over here, and I think we also need to add the double quotes. Okay, and possibly also add the list name. So let me add list name over here, and as an element over here, we can do list name, and we can add this directly in this part over here. So list name, testing list. Okay, and we can take this over here and add this over here. Okay, so in the following way, we were able to add the following information. Now I would like to see whether this is actually possible. So like we are testing out new stuff over here with you. And let me do a double check on the run itself. So this is the one that we are using, and we are sending all this different information. So let's run this, and let's check how everything goes over here. Let's so let's do that in the following way and add the following information. So I will add my own email. I would add something like testing list, and then let's add the Apollo link that we used in the past. So let's add this link over here and click on submit. So this started to run the actor, and if we go back over here, we can probably see the run, and we can also see the input over here. As you can see, the information was passed. So we passed the email, we passed the list name over here. The thing that we will need to check is whether this information is also passed in the next step over here when the run is completed. So this was completed. Uh, this means that this should run. I suppose this probably didn't run because we we didn't activate this. So that was an error. It was a mistake on my end. Let me trigger integration. Okay, we have this. Yeah, we have this integration which didn't work over here, which is the one that we used. I think now is active, so probably this should run, and let's see about that. And as you can see, the workflow was started over here, so the run started. And let's check this part over here. So yeah, we have the webbook itself. Let's see the information that we have within the webbook. So our goal right now is to find the input itself. After doing some digging and research, I think I figured it out. So over here, this will be record. I don't know if it's record or records. Let me check on this. Records. So this will be records, and this is input. Let's check this out. And yeah, finally we have this part. So as you can see over here, this was a hidden gem. So over here, we are able to get the input of what we pass to Apify. So possibly we can also pass information from one step to another. So as you can see over here, we have the list name, and then we have the email itself. So with this information at end, what we will do then is we will yeah, we'll start to run till this point over here. So let me run. Over here, we will change this to the list name over here. And we will probably use first. Okay. And then, yeah, batch update information. So, okay, this is all correct. And then finally over here, we will use Gmail. So we will use Gmail itself. So send message, and let's run till this point over here. And then in this part, we will take the email itself over here. Let's add first over here your lead list. I think also another thing which we could add prior to this will be a Google Drive share. So let's share a file over here. The file itself would be by ID. So let's use this ID over here. Permission would be writer, user, and then we can add the email over here. Okay. And then finally, what we can, so let me run this, see whether it works. Okay, that's perfect. And then we'll send the message itself. So over here, your lead list, and then let's write a message over here. Either here's the lead list that you requested. And then over here, let's add this over here. Don't remember how links work. I think this should be something like that. Either way, I will pass this to the LLM to fix this part. So okay, we will need to have the formatting over here. So formatting for uh, Google Sheets will be sheets dot. So we will have the list itself over here, and the following one would be changed to this part over here. Hope this can be useful. Okay, let me do a double check on Claude. Can you please fix this HTML? Just making sure because I don't remember what is the actual formatting over here. Okay, yeah. As you can see, it was a little bit different, but yeah, let's add this. Okay, and let's test this out. So let's see the message itself. Okay. So we have an error over here. Precondition check. Okay, yeah, I had to simply switch to a different account and it worked. So let's go to the Gmail to check what is the email itself. So, and as you can see, this is the email. Here we can remove this part over here at the bottom. So let me remove this part over here so that we avoid this. And yeah, so everything seems to be working right now, and we can test one final time and see what is the end result looking like. Okay, so let's do a final testing, making sure that everything works. So over here, we'll go to the production URL. Keep in mind also over here we can change the path if we really wanted to by modifying that over here. But yeah, there's no need to do that. So let's go over here. Over here, what we'll do is we will select a list. We'll add an email, and then we will add the name of the list. So I could say 100 Veneto people Apollo. Click on submit, and this will start running. So let's check Apify, making sure that everything is running smoothly. So over here within Apify, we can go to runs and we can check. So it seems that it was like pretty fast because you only had 9 results. So it completed this over here. And then if we check on the email itself, let's go back to the email. As you can see over here, we have the finalized emails with everything. And if we go over here, click on view lead list, we have the information of all the different leads. So as you could see over here, this is a simple way of creating a simple scraper that you can share with your clients, and you can potentially also add monetization options to this, getting paid by the amount of leads that your client have, and things of the nature. So hope this was useful. If you're interested in any other videos, or if you're interested in implemented sales and marketing system similar to this, feel free to reach out, and really happy to help you. Bye.